Is a hair transplant painful? In this video, I am going to tell you just how painful it is from first-hand experience. To give you some context, last year I received a hair transplant in Istanbul, Turkey. I got 4,500 grafts using the FUE treatment. Certain parts of the operation did cause me pain. In this video I'm going to go through exactly what pain was caused and how painful it really was. It's an honest opinion and I'm going to tell you exactly what to expect if you're thinking of getting a hair transplant. So the pain that I went through, I would say, came in 3 different parts of the operation. The most painful part of the operation for me, without a doubt, is the anaesthetic. I opted for something that was called the pain-free anaesthetic. Well, let me tell you, if that's the pain-free, I'd hate to know what the painful anaesthetic is. So to explain how that works, what they do is before they give you the injections of anaesthetic, they shoot compressed air against the back of your skull where they're going to be removing the hair from. Then came the injections, and to say this was painful is an understatement. The only thing I can compare it to is someone taking a fork to the back of my head. Not just once, but probably around about 25 to 30 times. And when I say a fork, I say think about that fork with its 4 prongs and each prong individually going into your skull. Not only that, making the same sound as that would make. This went on for about 5 minutes. That pain, in all honesty, I would put that pain at 10 out of 10. I could literally feel my face grimace with the pain. It was the only way that I was able to get through it. Now here's the good news. It only takes a couple of minutes for the anaesthetic to set in. However, the first 2.5-3 minutes before that sets in is excruciating and you do have to grin and bear it. Once it's set in, however, no more pain. However, I also have to make you aware that you have to go through that not once but twice, as when you are then about to get the hair transplanted into the top of your head, you have to get it injected again, and again it's the same procedure. The injections into your skull, then eventually that anaesthetic will set in and you won't feel it, but they will still be doing it for another couple of minutes. What I would say is the anaesthetic is really good. Once it's set in the first instance when I was having the hair removed from the donor area, I really didn't feel a thing. That brings me to the second part of the operation that brought me pain. Now I don't know what it was, if it was just that the anaesthetic hadn't been injected properly at that part of my skull, whether it was an overly sensitive part of my head, but my crown was extremely sensitive to having the hairs implanted. What I felt was on the sort of top left hand side of my skull, I could feel each individual hair being planted in my skull, and that pain I would probably have to put it at an 8 out of 10. The pain itself would literally only last 2 to 3 seconds. Once it was in, it no longer hurt. That went on for, I want to say, in the region of maybe about half an hour, 40 minutes. It's hard to tell how long the time is when you're sitting there and you can just feel each individual hair going in, and you've been sitting there for so long that time becomes a bit of a blur. Most people, as far as I'm aware from stories I've heard, don't actually seem to have any pain during the actual implantation of the hairs, and perhaps I was just unlucky. I also probably had the option to tell the technicians who were implanting the hairs that I was feeling uncomfortable. However, I felt like I'd been sitting there so long that I just wanted to get it over with. Once the operation was done, my head was extremely swollen, but I will say that I felt no pain for the next couple of days. The journey home was fine, didn't feel any pain then. However, after about 3 days, I started to have a different kind of pain. The difficult thing about the recovery stage is that you cannot touch your head at all. The only time you touch your hair is when you're washing it. What I found is that my head felt extremely tight, the skin on the top of my head felt extremely tight, and all I wanted to do was itch my head and get some relief. If you've ever woken up in the middle of the night and you've got a dead leg, as the blood starts to rush back into it, it's actually extremely painful, however it only lasts a couple of minutes. Imagine that pain all night on your head. I found sleeping extremely difficult, and I was really feeling low for the first week or so. I would say that pain was bad, but it wasn't as bad as the pain that I went through during the operation. It was more just a pain that I couldn't get rid of because I couldn't scratch my head. And during the recovery phase, you just have to ride it out. What I would recommend is taking painkillers and using any sleeping pills that you are provided from the clinic. A good night's sleep will help you feel so much better and more resilient when it comes to tackling that pain. So overall, the pain of an operation was pretty significant, but only in short bursts. Would it stop me from getting it again? Probably not, because I'm extremely happy with the results. I feel like the pain was worth it. No pain, no gain, as they say. If it's something that you're worried about, then please feel free to reach out and ask me more questions if you need. If you've enjoyed the video, then please subscribe to the channel. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll speak to you later.